night edition of FFChamps After Dark. I'm your host, Jim Day. We got a lot of good things to cover for you tonight, but first, let me tell you, we are a proud member of the Full-Time Fantasy Podcast Network, 18 podcasts strong. We got lots of things coming at you each and every day, multiple podcasts almost every day coming at you. Make sure you check us out. You can find us at fulltimefantasy.com. You can find us at ffchamps.com. You can find us on Twitter using the hashtag FDFPodNet. But you can find us. We're everywhere. We are the Borg. You will be assimilated. But let me get right to the people that will be joining me tonight. First off, as always, my co-host, Mr. Andy Singleton. Andy, how you doing tonight?
I am tired, but ready to go. Yeah, I like the rundown tonight. It's a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, we got a lot to cover, but we have a new friend coming to join us, LaQuan Jones I know him from Facebook. He's in my Facebook group. He's always posting some really good videos that he does and going over people, so I wanted to bring him on and give him a chance to voice his opinion here. Although we are dealing with a slight delay, folks, so we'll do the best we can with that. But, LaQuan, or LQ as he likes to be called, from Real Deal Fantasy, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hey, what's going on, man? I'm happy to be here. I just got into the YouTube Real Deal Fantasy HQ just not too long ago, probably like a year ago, and I kind of just worked my way up through the Facebook groups and stuff, posted my content, just giving my opinion and like how I feel about certain guys going into this year. Or, there's some people that don't like some of the things I say, but, it's all of opinion. It is what it is.
Oh, that's okay. I love the people that don't like what I have to say because at least they're still listening. So that doesn't bother me in the least.
The good part.
Yeah, really. If they're listening, that's all that matters. And that's, how you take it. Don't worry about the people who say negative things. There's always going to be people saying negative things. But you know what? They don't have the balls to get up there and say it themselves. They're not going to get in front of a mic or put a camera on and say the things you do. Until they do, they can't really say anything as far as I'm concerned. So let's get into the show. We got a lot to cover. And, a lot has happened since last week, since our last show. So, of course, the big news is, Andrew Luck retiring and what's going on with the Indianapolis Colts. And, Andy, I haven't talked to you pretty much since the last show. So why don't you give us a quick thinking about what you're doing about the Colts moving forward? Are you still drafting them if you have any drafts, or if not, what else are you doing? What are you doing here?
Am I still drafting Luck if I have any drafts?
No, Marlon Mack, T.Y. Hilton.
Yeah, no, because honestly, there is that dynasty tangent to Luck that kind of exists with Gronkowski. I mean, did you think Jason Witten was going to come back? So it's possible in a dynasty league you can still roster Luck, but I'm thrilled and ecstatic to see what Jacoby Brissett can do. He's looked pretty good to me so far in the preseason. I liked him in college. I didn't love him at the Senior Bowl. I was surprised when New England took him. I was even more surprised when he got traded. Even more surprised when Luck missed the whole season and Brissett
how much more surprised can you freaking get?
I'm not as surprised as I was when Luck retired, but I like Brissett. I like Brissett a lot. And, from 2 years ago when he had the reins, the offensive line is vastly improved. The surrounding cast, the surrounding weapons are vastly improved. He's got a little bit more under his belt. He's seen Luck play a full season in this offense. So I think, I think Brissett is kind of being written off and underrated. I thought Aaron Rodgers was a 7-point kind of swing in Vegas. If Luck, I keep saying Luck, if Rodgers missed the game, it was like a 7-point difference for the Packers last year. I'm not sure career-wise, but last year. And now you see it with Luck as well, that just, a 3.5 game change on the win projection, and their odds went from like 15-1 on the Super Bowl to 60-1 or something even more than that. So I think people are really kind of disrespecting Jacoby Brissett right now. I don't think, he's not capable of challenging this team to be a playoff team.
So, LQ, give us your thoughts on Andrew Luck retiring, and then what are you doing about the other guys left in this offense?
Oh, man, Luck retiring was like a punch in the face, a sucker punch. Nobody's seen it coming. And, he retired, 2 weeks before the season. A lot of people give him, crap about it. But overall, it's best to listen to your body. You know what I mean? So expect him having the courage to go up there and retire and just, put everything behind him and try to move on with life. But definitely, I think the offense, Marlon Mack is a guy that I really like going into the season. I don't really think he takes a decline with Andrew Luck, being retired. The O-line is beefed up now. They still have a good core of wide receivers. So T.Y. Hilton may take a decline. I don't like his ADP right now at the 309 spot. So I think he will take the most decline, the most hit with Andrew Luck retiring. Now, everybody else like Paris Campbell and, Marlon Mack back there, I really feel like they don't take that much of effect as much as T.Y. Hilton will, as a fantasy-wise.
I was talking about this the other day, though. T.Y. Hilton was nearly a 1,000-yard receiver 2 years ago, as I was talking about with Brissett. And this team has vastly improved in that time. So I think T.Y. Hilton provides great value and discount right now because his ADP is definitely dropping with the Luck retirement and just people kind of scared to touch it. So I'd be happy to take him, especially you're talking now he's going to be like your wide receiver 2, maybe even wide receiver 3. And just knowing what he's done in his career, he's been a 1,000-yard guy every season. So listen, to me, Marlon Mack still, he's going to get a couple more carries than we might have thought before. I don't think T.Y. Hilton is in jeopardy of anything. And like I said, I like Brissett as a back-end kind of sleeper. This is an explosive or potentially explosive offense. So I wouldn't be too afraid of it.
Yeah, well, I'll be happy if T.Y. falls to me.
Yeah, and that's what I've been saying all week. I've been telling people, look, the issue here is that everybody is just totally discounting Brissett. And as Andy said, I mean, he's got another full year of watching Andrew Luck in the system. He's the one who's been taking all the reps throughout preseason because Luck hasn't been practicing. So he's been on the field with these guys every day. There's a lot of scouts that loved him coming out. They still think he's got all the tools. So, I just don't see why everybody's just jumping off the ship here at this point. Like Andy also said, that now they become good values because their ADP has dropped. Well, actually, Hilton's has dropped a lot more than Mack, which makes sense. I mean, you still got the good offensive line. Everybody's still counting on that. But I don't see even Hilton dropping as much as he shouldn't be dropping this much is what I'm trying to say. And right now he definitely represents value because I think Brissett is going to be better than people expect him to be. And he's going to put up decent, yardage and points. Look, when he came in 2017, he came in right at the start of the season, had no prep time, no nothing, still threw for 3,000 yards. Now he didn't throw for a lot of touchdowns and he turned the ball over. What can you expect? Now he's got plenty of time in his offense. He knows the offense inside and out. He's been working all offseason. I'm not going to be surprised if this kid throws up 35 touchdowns. 3,500 yards and about 23, 24 touchdowns, which will put him right in that range of low-end QB2s and along with a ton of others. So I have no problem with that, but I don't think Hilton takes the hit everybody thinks he does.
No, the impact the impact for this too, and not to cut you off, but we're talking –
But you did.
A week before, well, this is hopefully a good point. We're talking a week before the season. This news dropped his ADP overnight a full round and a half in 12-team leagues and PPR at that. So that to me is just really just over fear of Luck's retirement, like you said. I mean, we went from early to mid third round to end of fourth, beginning of fifth round overnight. This late in the in the process. So that to me is tremendous value. And I don't think.
Well, here, I got to share a little story. The night this news broke, I was doing an industry mock auction that we were doing for Sports Illustrated. And we're in the auction. We're going pretty well. A couple of quarterbacks have come off the board pretty expensive. And I said, you know what? I'm going to try and pull something here, and I'm going to see if it works. And I figure I'm going to throw Andrew Luck out for $10 on a $200 thing because a couple of, Mahomes went for a lot more. Watson went for a lot more. So I was betting on that I could slip him through. So I put him up for $10, and sure enough, nobody bites. I get him for $10. I'm like ecstatic. I'm like, yes, he may not start like right away, but I expect him to come on and be strong for the rest of the season. And, I'm feeling pretty good about myself for about 30 minutes. And then the news hit. Andrew Luck has retired. I'm like, oh, come on. You guys are freaking playing with me. There's no way that's true. And sure enough, I go over to Twitter, and it's everywhere on Twitter. I'm like, oh, I guess it's true. That was one of those things. I'll always know where I was when Andrew Luck retired type of things, because I'll always know where I was that night. Just kind of nuts. Hey, look, but he's got to take care of himself. He's obviously got plenty of money. He's a smart guy. He gets to spend time with his family. Who knows? Maybe at some later date he decides to come back, but I wouldn't count on it. I think this was just something he loved to do, and he just doesn't love to do it anymore.
I'm a little confused. Justin Beckford in the chat room, and thanks for checking us out and joining tonight, and hopefully you'll stick around and come back. But you said Colts still ain't got no damn line. Are we talking about the Indianapolis Colts? I'm a little confused by this because I don't know. Anybody else want to take that? I'm a little confused by that comment.
What's your thoughts on the Colts offensive line?
Man, they beefed up. They got a good O-line. They're definitely going to be rocking and rolling running back there. Again, I mentioned him again. I feel like this is my guy going into this year to be my RB2 or even my RB1. I feel like he's going to be getting the end zone touches. He's going to be sitting there getting the rock at least 20 touches a game. I'm going to put it out there. 20 touches a game, people.
Well, the thing I like is that they're already talking about getting him more involved in the passing game as well. So that absolutely elevates his value too. So, if they increase his receptions at all, then his value is definitely up there. At that point, then it just becomes a thing of, can he stay healthy for 16? And we could say that about every running back. So let's not say it.
I got to chime him in with the comments again because my ball says Justin's been drinking, and listen, I'm drinking myself, and I'm not foolish enough to say that the Colts still ain't got no damn line. The Colts definitely have a damn line.
Justin is making himself. He's making himself known with one comment. So good for you, Justin. None of us agree with you, but good for you anyway.
That's my guy.
If we all agreed on everything, then this game would be totally boring. But Justin, they actually are one of the best offensive lines in the league, dude. No worries. A couple of years ago, you were right. So, flashback to 2017, you got it nailed. 2019, not so much, buddy. So let's keep moving on. Next thing we want to talk about is Josh Jacobs out there in Oakland. Now, I got to tell you, a week and a half ago, I was starting to be a little off on Josh Jacobs just because, there was some reports of, him having slowed down a little bit in camp and, all of that. And then all of a sudden, the one guy that I thought was going to be a major impediment is gone. They let go Doug Martin. And you can say what you want about him, but last year after Lynch went down, Doug Martin played well. I think he ended up with 4 touchdowns the last 5 games, something along that line. And he played well for them. So I was really surprised when this happened. So, LQ, I'll go to you first. What are your thoughts on Josh Jacobs now that Doug Martin is gone, or did you even care about Doug Martin?
I was on the same boat as you. I was a little bit worried about Doug Martin just being a veteran running back, just being annoying running back, getting touches that don't need to be going to him. But Josh Jacobs, I think he's a very good running back. I watched his college highlights all through the summer. I feel like he's going to make an immediate impact now, being that Doug Martin's out of the picture. And I'm really excited what he can do going into the season. Definitely excited to see what Derek Carr can do with AB. A lot of things are moving on that offense where I'm just ready to focus on Raiders and Derek Carr to AB connection and Josh Jacobs in the backfield killing it.
Well, he's going to get every opportunity. Andy, what's your thoughts on Josh Jacobs?
I've been telling you for 3 months now, Josh Jacobs is one of my guys. I had him in the top 10 in my initial rankings at running back, and he's dropped down a little bit since then, but still up there. I go back to Gruden's last rookie running back. I'm not the only person who's mentioned this, and that was Cadillac Williams. And he got 290 carries that year. Jacobs, my big question for him was just proclaiming him to be the next big guy, but we've seen it with other players in the past. I know, and listen, a lot of the talking points have been the same. A lot of people have said Jacobs reminds them of Alvin Kamara, and he's the next Kamara, and everybody's always got to be the next somebody.
Oh, stop that crap!
But
Yeah.
I'm only bringing that up to this. It's not, to me, it's not what that talking point is. It's the talking point of Kamara didn't have the volume. He certainly had more volume than Jacobs did, but still didn't have a tremendous amount of volume. So I think it's possible for Jacobs to be the bell cow and really surprise a lot of people. I also like Doug Martin. I don't understand why you were intrigued or thought anything about Doug Martin. I mean, the guy's 30 years old now. He's only had 2 good seasons. They were great seasons, but we remember those like they, were the bar. And even in those great seasons, 1,400 yards rushing, he's only had double-digit touchdowns as a rusher once. He's had, 49.
Well, let me clear the air. It wasn't that I was worried that Doug Martin was going to take the job. I was more worried that Doug Martin was going to have enough of a job that he was going to take the edge off of Josh Jacobs.
No,
that's all I was worried about.
Yeah,
only because of the last few reports before that coming out of camp were saying that Jacobs was hitting some kind of wall. He put a couple of balls on the field in practice. He missed a couple of blitzes. So they were starting to take the edge off of him and making it sound like, well, maybe they are going to ease him in slowly just to get him up to speed.
No.
So obviously not. They got rid of the only guy that could really take that away is Doug Martin.
Yeah, and listen, I've said this a bunch. I go into the psychology of sports. Does anybody not know who John Gruden is at this point? He is an old school kind of guy. He likes to fuck with the rookies. He likes to get on them and hold them accountable for stuff. He doesn't promise them anything. He makes them earn their stripes. So all the stuff that might be, being said, or coming out about Josh Jacobs and everything, he's a rookie and he's going to treat him as such. Knock on wood if you're with me.
Right, but if he's making mistakes, then he's also going to put him behind him. There's going to be issues, and he's going to get into a doghouse if he's putting the ball on the ground or if he's missing blitzes.
Definitely.
The annoying carries are going to go to Jalen Richard and DeAndre Washington. They were never going to go to Doug Martin. He's a clipboard holder. He's a running backs coach in training at this point in his career.
Well, that's why they went to him last year when Lynch went down and not anybody else. I get that. So yeah, good stat.
And how well did that go?
It went well. He had 4 touchdowns the last 5 games. He played pretty well for them.
Yeah, because they didn't care at that point. It was the Raiders.
Yeah, playoffs were not in reach.
Yeah. Marcel Aitman was their lead receiver.
We're caring.
We're talking Keon Hatcher in the last 4 games. Like they had nobody.
Oh, you're crazy. Okay. Let's keep going. So let's talk a sleeper, somebody that's nobody's really talking about. And, again, if you come out with some kind of lame-ass sleeper, I'm going to call your ass on it. So, Andy, you get to go first.
Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
No, lame-ass sleeper. Listen, Keyshawn Johnson's a guy I've been finding myself drafting pretty much everywhere. I've been feeling like the late-round wide receivers – I feel like there's much more upside than a late round running backs. I would feel like taking a gamble on. So guys like Preston Williams, Jacoby Myers, who's been balling out all preseason. I know there's a lot of mouths to feed in New England, but he's somebody I feel like, you know what? Listen, you start proving stuff to that level, and it's real. And Jacoby Myers is somebody I like coming out of college anyway, out of NC State. He could even make the argument he was the better receiver there than Kelvin Harmon, who, listen, that was one of my favorite guys coming into the draft. And Jacoby Myers had just as good, if not better, numbers in the same offense. But I also really like Keyshawn Johnson coming out of Fresno State. And this guy went to the same high school as Devontae Adams, the same college as Devontae Adams. He had better numbers than him at both stops. Kind of underrated and underappreciated going through the draft, especially with the combine. Was unassuming, underperformed, if you want to say that. Doesn't flash anything off this world athletically, just gets it done, solid hands, great route runner, everything like that. And you see he's beating out Isabella. He's beating out Hakeem Butler, who's now injured. He's beating out guys that we thought were going to be, well ahead of him on the depth chart. And there were questions, would he even make the team? So I like Keyshawn Johnson a ton. He's just that solid kind of rock guy, and I find myself taking him everywhere, even in redraft leagues. So that would be my sleeper, I guess.
LQ, any comment on his sleeper?
Man, no real comments. I mean, he hit a nail on the head. I mean, that's a good sleeper. He was off my radar, off my draft board. So thank you for that. I might put him on my draft board.
Well, I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't. The problem I have here is, first of all,
Let's hear this.
They got Fitzgerald and they got Kirk, okay, 1 and 2. The problem I have is they've been searching for that other wide receiver, and I'm thinking right now that none of the rookies have really stepped up enough to do what Kingsbury wants them to do. Why else do they go out and get Michael Crabtree? It doesn't make any sense to me. If Keyshawn Johnson, now granted, at the beginning of OTAs and the very beginning of camp, Keyshawn Johnson was getting talked up. And then as we got closer to preseason and into preseason, we haven't heard another word.
I'll tell you
They haven't said anything about him. They haven't said anything about any of the rookies that they got. And that's, to me, for them to go out and get Michael Crabtree at that point, it's almost to me like they're saying, well, we don't think any of these rookies are ready to go yet. And so because of that, we're going to go out and get another veteran because we want to put them all on the field at the same time.
No, I'll tell you why. Michael Crabtree was brought in to play the Doug Martin role for this receiving corps.
Okay, LQ, we'll go to you on that.
Mr. Mediocre.
Andy just wants to be stupid tonight, so we'll let him be stupid. LQ, give us a sleeper you like.
I feel like a guy that's not being talked about much, and he finished like top 6 in PPRs for tight ends, and that's Austin Hooper, man. I've been taking him in late round drafts once all the big guys are gone. Every time he's there.
Is that really a sleeper?
Yeah.
Come on, he finished top 6 at tight end last year. Because
but who's talking about him right now?
Nobody talks about Austin Hooper.
Everybody's worried about health.
Well, yeah, but the reason nobody talks about Austin Hooper is because he's a good, steady tight end. He's not flashy. He's not going to make huge plays, but he's going to be there pretty much each and every week and gives you a nice solid floor, but that ceiling doesn't really get too high. So that's why I don't think anybody's talking about him. He's a nice, comfortable guy that they'll take if they have to, but everybody always wants the shiny new toy, or they want the guy that's flashy, and they always forget about the guys in the middle. So I'm going to call you on that because I don't really consider that a sleeper. You got somebody else you can throw out?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a homer. I mean, everybody's going to call me crazy for this, but I got my Rams, Josh Reynolds, 4th wide receiver on the Rams right now. And I think Cooper Kupp I don't want to wish this against him. I'm not even going to utter the words. I'm just going to say Cooper Kupp may take a step back, and then Josh Reynolds is going to come in and be that guy to step in and get that offense going. We've seen at the end of the season where he was coming in and getting well-adjusted, being the guy there. But we still have Woods and Cook still having their, number 1 options, number 2 options. They both hit 1,000 yards. Congrats to them. So I'm going to be a homer and just say Josh Reynolds is going to step up, and he's going to have the leg up against Kupp if there's a setback. So I'm drafting him with my last pick.
I like Reynolds. I actually do like him as a wide receiver. But until one of those guys goes down, he doesn't have any fantasy value. I'm with you on that. But if one of them do, then he definitely steps up into a decent role like he did last year. So I don't really have a problem with that. Nobody's talking about him. Nobody's drafting him. So that I would label a sleeper. I'm good with that.
Go undrafted.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So, definitely. And
let's keep on. What about Malcolm Brown?
Malcolm Brown. Now that's a sleeper. Still nobody talking about Malcolm Brown. Everybody's just going right past him to Darrell Henderson. Meanwhile, Darrell Henderson has looked like trash in preseason, and Malcolm Brown is just getting it done. All the beat writers are swearing up and down, and Malcolm Brown is the guy to have if you want to have the backup there, and it's not going to be Darrell Henderson. So it would be interesting to see how that plays out. I'm going to jump in here.
In the 8th round.
Yeah, right. Well, actually, I've seen him drop a lot later than that.
Crazy.
I just did an online championship draft last night. I'm pretty sure he went in round 11. And this is a $300 league per team. So, these guys let them slide a lot. I was kind of surprised. So here, I'm going to throw out a couple of names for my sleepers. One I've been talking about a lot on the Frenzy, so the people in the chat room from the Goon Squad are going to know what I'm saying here. So I know you guys have heard it before, but oh well. And that's Dare Ogunbowale for Tampa Bay, the running back in Tampa Bay. I'm not saying you take him right now and put him in your starting lineup, but hold on to this kid. They're already talking about he may get the third down passing options because Ronald Jones still can't block for crap. While they were talking up Ronald Jones back when they were still in T-shirts and shorts, ever since they put the pads back on, guess what? We're not hearing nothing about Ronald Jones.
And you were falling for it.
I was falling. I like the kid coming out of college. I did. I think he's got the talent. There's something else going here. It's not just talent. There's something going on with his head.
No, it's between the ears.
And I agree. It very well is. That's the same problem with James Washington, I think. So we'll see. We'll talk about that another time.
No.
James Washington can do it against level 4 defenses. He can't do it against level 1s.
He's beating everybody.
He's beating garbage. Is what he's beating. All those guys that are going to be on the cut list tomorrow that he's beating. Yeah. And that's why he's playing against the 4s. That's why he's playing with the backup quarterbacks, because he can't play with the starters. Get over it. As you can tell, Andy and I go back and forth quite a lot on James Washington. I think he sucks. Andy,
I like this. I like
to have
this.
his baby.
Listen, he's a beast. You're gonna be sorry.
So it's kind of nuts, but. Dare Ogunbowale is already talking about they're giving him the pass catching duties. But I think it's more than that. Look, you got 2 mediocre running backs in front of him. 2 guys that have never done anything yet. I mean, and I put Peyton Barber right in that mix. He's never shown anything more than just being a mediocre running back. And now Ronald Jones is the same thing. This kid, Ogunbowale, he comes out, he's playing hard. He's running like he's got a chip on his shoulder, like he has to prove something. Don't be surprised if, early in the season, this team, Tampa Bay, just says, you know what, let's just get the best running back on the field, and that's going to be Ogunbowale. So, again, talk about a guy you can literally draft in the last round of your draft. That's the guy. He's absolutely going to get that chance, I think.
I'm avoiding all Tampa Bay backfield situation. I might take a stab at Peyton Barber, depending on the value. I still like Barber out of Auburn. But you look at Bruce Anderson was everybody's like, oh, he's going to be my guy. He's going to be my guy. You watch. And that's not going anywhere. Ronald Jones, been saying for 2 years, same thing that now you're starting to catch, get up to speed on. That's not going anywhere. So we're going to make Dare Ogunbowale, who I liked out of Wisconsin on the recommendation of a couple friends, Owen Reese and Lauren Cox, who both cover a lot of Wisconsin Badger football, and were telling me this guy has some talent, especially as a receiving back. But we're scrapping here. So load up on Tampa Bay wide receivers. You want to take a stab, go for Watson or something like that. Let me just touch on some of these sleepers that the audience was throwing out there. Doug Dima Dome Jr. I hope I said your name right, but Hunter Renfrow, love the kid. Definitely, I like that as a sleeper. And
I like Doug's toenails.
Greg, I don't know about that one.
Well, look at his toenails. His avatar, his white toenails. Good job there, Dougie.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's not Doug, but Gregory Castillo.
I don't know. They look like man feet.
Went with San Antonio's finest, J-Ray, Josh Reynolds, and that was LQ's guy as well. And Marquise Goodwin from Mixol Radio. I like that Marquise Goodwin a lot. I think a lot of people are forgetting about Marquise Goodwin. But, yeah, I can't argue with anybody's idea of a sleeper because that's exactly what it's supposed to be, right? One of your late round guys that you're taking a gamble on. So why not?
Well, here's one more I'm going to throw out there that nobody's still talking about. There's a reason nobody's talking about it because it's been taking him forever to get there. But I like Rashad Perriman this year. He is the number 3 in that passing offense you were just talking about for Tampa Bay. He's the deep threat. He can take the top off the defense. We started to finally see him, I thought anyway, in Cleveland last year, finally start to get it. He was making some better plays. He wasn't afraid to go up and take the ball away from the defender, something he was having a problem with early in his career. I think the kid finally got it. And again, anybody who listens to me knows I love Bruce Arians. I think he does great things with offenses, and this offense is going to be great. I love all these guys. I have both Evans and Godwin in my top 12 right now for the season.
Listen, everyone's assuming there's going to be a great offense, and Arians would make you think that. But until Jameis Winston starts showing that maybe he really could be the real deal, maybe.
Well, you know what? Put it this way: for fantasy, I don't care if he's the real deal or not. If he goes out there and throws the ball 580 to 650 times, he's going to be my best friend. And that's what they're going to have to do. The defense still sucks. The running game that we've been talking about so far has been virtually non-existent. And so they're going to have to throw the ball a ton, something he loves to do. And you can say what you want about Jameis Winston, but last year, if you take the numbers that Jameis Winston had and the numbers that Ryan Fitzpatrick had and put them together, they were a top 5 fantasy quarterback. Just think a few years ago, Blake Bortles was a top 10 fantasy quarterback because he threw the ball 620 freaking times a year. Doesn't matter how good he is, as long as he's thrown it that much, there's going to be plenty of fantasy value to be had.
Yeah, the problem is I think of those two, Fitzpatrick was a little bit better.
Well, I always like Fitzpatrick better. I can't argue that point.
Yeah, the interceptions for sure. But
all valid points. But at the same time, Arians has worked wonders with quarterbacks before. Look what he did with Carson Palmer, who was on the ass end of his career. Everybody had written him off already, coming off the big injury, and all of a sudden he brings it back to a Pro Bowl level quarterback. That a lot of that was Arians, and I'm expecting him to do that again. He took this job because he wanted to work with Jameis Winston because they have a history. They've known each other for a while. He's worked with him before when he was a young kid, and he wanted to work with him again because he thinks he can get him on the right track. You know what? If he thinks he can do that, I have no problem investing in that. I have Jameis Winston inside my top 12 for this year. I think he could even go much higher than that.
He definitely has the potential.
Let's see. What's the next thing up on the thing here? Okay. So next one is I want everybody to go over an overvalued player, somebody right now that you would not take at their current ADP no matter what. And I'll start with you this time, Andy. Who's somebody you absolutely will not take as your starter, where their current ADP is right now?
Yeah, I know what you're asking.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I couldn't get it out second time.
I mean, I don't know if he even would still qualify at this point, but I still think the 4th round is still too high for me if I feel comfortable taking Melvin Gordon. So I would just avoid that at all costs. I mean, I definitely think he's holding out at least 8 games. I've had, conversations with people on air, off air, everything like that. And it seems like 8 games is the number that he could miss without it really affecting his contract situation. Ezekiel Elliott is in a different boat, so they're not really – it's apples to oranges when you're talking about the two of them and hold out considerations in time. But just even a 4th round. I saw somebody tell me the other day they would take Jerick McKinnon towards the end because he should be back and they didn't pay him all that money to get him. Well, okay, the guy's been hurt for 2 straight years now. He wasn't really anything great when he had opportunities in Minnesota. So, to me, it's like the same thing. Like you're just wasting a roster spot. And in the 4th round, you could get a lot of quality in the 4th round that you can play for all 13, 12, 11, 9, 14 weeks of your fantasy, however long you go.
Okay, LQ, how about you? Who do you like or don't like as an overvalued player?
I mean, I don't necessarily think it's his talent. It's just his availability, and that's, of course, Josh Gordon. I've done plenty of drafts this week where I've been seeing him going in the 4th round, late 4th round, 5th round. Yeah, it's the hype, man. It's the hype train. He looked okay in the preseason. He had 2 catches, 30 yards. He showed strength. He showed he's still in football shape. He can still play ball. But I'm not liking him currently where he's at going in the 5th round. His current ADP is at 509. So I really do think he's going to have an okay year. He's not going to bust 1,000 yards. He's not going to have like 10 touchdowns. Like I just don't see it happening. But I definitely think Brady is still going to have him as his top target with Julian. So it's just that I'm not completely sold on him just yet, being with his off-field issues. Like, is he going to be available? Is it going to be like week 6, week 7, where he's having frustration issues, mental issues, or whatever? Where
Yeah,
he
he's
needs
sitting
to go
on the bench smoking a bong, saying, "Okay, I've had
yeah,
enough."
you know what I mean? So you got to think about that investment in the 5th round.
But he
Like,
better
is it really
share.
worth it? He better share.
That's all I'm saying. He better share, man. I bet you he gets the good
Yeah.
stuff.
Like, I'm glad he's back. You know, I'm glad that he's mentally checked in to to play football. But it's just a matter of how long it's just going to be. You know what I mean? So like that 5th round investment on him, I'm kind of just going to pass on him. I really think that people are just enjoying this hype train of the preseason action and all this other stuff. I'm not one of those guys that jump on that train just jumping in.
Yeah.
I like that train, actually. I've been jumping in, not at 4th round level, probably not even 5th round. I've been getting him in 6th round. I'm okay with him in the 6th round. Usually by the 6th round, that's usually my wide receiver 3, and I don't have any problem taking him there. His numbers were getting stronger as the year were going on with Brady. Brady's numbers were stronger when he was on the field. I think that comes right back into fruition. Can he walk off the field week 3 and said, "I've had enough"? Absolutely. There's no doubt that's definitely a possible range, possible outcome in his range of outcomes. But I like the kid. I've always liked the kid as a football player. He's just one of those really good ones. Not only is he built like a tank, but he can actually play ball. So I've always liked him. I hope he gets everything straight. I don't think what he's doing is totally ridiculous. Hopefully the league gets over itself soon and lets these guys, medicate in a way that's actually healthy as opposed to all these damn drugs. So we'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, 4th round, definitely not. 5th round, I would, I'd really have to see how my first 4 rounds went to do that. But 6th round, I feel pretty comfortable with him. And how about you, Andy? Do you feel comfortable with Gordon at any point?
No, I like Gordon. I think we all like Gordon. I think everybody wants to root for him. I think everybody wants to see him do well and pull for him. But I just think he's going to be that guy that just never, just it wasn't for an injury. We talk about like in basketball, like Derrick Rose, like what could have been. And I think Josh Gordon is going to be kind of similar to that, where it's just always going to be like we'll see glimpses, we'll see flashes. No pun intended with the flash, but it's not going to be consistently what it was at one point and what we wanted it to believe, like threatened for 2,000 yards receiving kind of seasons. And he was the closest thing from a physical standpoint that I would say came to Calvin Johnson other than Julio Jones. I mean, these were 2 dynamic guys, and I know you can make the argument for Hopkins and Beckham. I'm just talking about body type, just different breeds with the speed and the size and the bulk and everything like that. The roles on the teams, so it's kind of sad for me, but at the same time, he's in a great situation if he can stay on the field, because I think New England just has so many pieces that from a non-fantasy standpoint, they're still the best team in football. And I hate to say that as a Jet fan, but for fantasy purposes though, it's just they have too much talent to really peg any one guy and say, yeah, that's the guy I want. It was crazy is you said Josh Gordon is getting as high as the 4th round, 5th round even. Usually you think a receiver that high has a quarterback, and then when you think that quarterback is Tom Brady, you think people are still going to be like, I'm seeing Tom Brady going like the 20s, like QB in the 20s. So how do it doesn't you can't sustain both of those.
I think the 20s is ridiculous for Brady anyway. Yeah, he didn't have a good year last year because he had basically no receivers for most of the year, but he still was end up 14, QB 14. So pushing the 20s again. Everybody knows me. Knows I love this saying. Everybody wants this shiny new toy, and that includes Kyler Murray, that includes Lamar Jackson, that includes Josh Allen, and all these guys are going ahead of Brady in most drafts. And look, I get it. I think, and I don't know if I get it that much. I just think it's kind of nuts. Mick Soul Radio just said here in the chat, put it up there. Josh Gordon just went in the 5th round in his league. So, Fifth round, definitely, it would have to depend on who I got in the first four. But, depending on that, if I had, two really solid wide receivers I liked in those first four, then I might take the shot on him at 5 if he starts really climbing into that range now. But, I would feel better in round 6.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay, so LQ, how about you? Who's somebody you don't want? Oh, you just did that, didn't you? No, that wasn't you. That was
Jordan.
Okay, I'm sorry. I hate being the host because I never keep track. I should write a little notepad here. Who's next? Who's next? And he always complains, well, you asked him first 3 times in a row. I never keep track. So if I do that, I'm sorry, LQ. So I'm going to jump in here with mine. And mine is a guy that I'm just not high on, and everybody else seems to be, or is willing to take a shot, and that's Corey Davis. Last year, his biggest problem was he had nobody to really take the defensive pressure off of him, so he was the only thing on the field for the most part, and defenses just shut him down a lot. This year, now all of a sudden, there's a lot of weapons around him. I like Adam Humphries there in the slot now. I like A.J. Brown coming out of college. I thought he was my number 1 wide receiver coming into the draft. I was really dismayed to see him get drafted by Tennessee, but oh well, nothing we could do about that. But now you got all these guys, and you got Delaney Walker coming back. I think the only salvation here for Corey Davis to actually present value where he's currently being drafted is if Ryan Tannehill starts. How sucky is that? You know what? I don't want anybody who has to rely on Ryan Tannehill. I don't know. No, it just can't do it. No, go away. No. Just saying no. No Corey Davis for me, no. Go away. I don't want no Corey Davis in my house. So let's keep going.
Definitely not.
Anybody have any thoughts on Corey Davis before I keep moving?
No, I think
so we'll keep going. When he starts going, I know he's got nothing.
As it simply said, he has wide receiver 1 upside, or at least we want to believe he does, and you could get him as your 3rd or later wide receiver. So he's still somebody to me. Okay, 3rd year, situation. Hopefully that offense can change a little. If they realize they can run the ball better and do that, maybe he can have some success.
All I know is Mariota, if he doesn't get it done this year, the boy going to be a backup for the rest of his life.
Yeah,
he's never going to get another starting opportunity anywhere. Okay, so I want to get back into this game we had started way back in the beginning of the show, but never really got time to finish. But keep, drop, or trade. I'm going to give you guys 3 players. I want you to know who you're going to keep, who you're going to drop, and who you're going to trade. And I'll start with you this time, LQ. At quarterback, you got Kyler Murray, Josh Allen, and Mitchell Trubisky. Who do you keep, who do you drop, and who do you trade?
I am going to drop Josh Allen. I will trade Kyler Murray, I believe. I'll keep Trubisky. I think I'll do that.
Okay, explain.
Now Trubisky, I love Matt Nagy's offense. I'm in love with it. It's exciting to watch. The Bears are exciting to watch again. And I feel like he molded Trubisky to be I don't want to say a Jared Goff, you know what I mean, where the high power offense, where this offense is going to be rocking and booming. And now they got David Montgomery, they got Tyreek Hill. So they have all the pieces to have this offense flowing. And they got a stacked defense to where they're playing top level. So I like the direction that Matt Nagy has Trubisky going. And I feel like he can really he can scramble, he can make off balance throws. It's I'm really impressed with Trubisky going into this next season.
The only downside I have to Trubisky is, because the defense is so high level, there's not going to be a lot of times where we're going to get a lot of garbage time points out of him. They're not going to, have to throw a lot to catch up, things along that line. And, when I'm looking for that quarterback, I want that guy that's going to have to throw. Garbage time points are our friends. Fantasy football loves garbage time points. We'll take as many garbage time points as we can. And the problem with Trubisky is I just don't see him having to do that a lot. So, Andy, real quick, your thoughts on Trubisky?
Of the three guys, he was the one I liked least coming out of college. I thought a lot of his stuff at North Carolina was short, and I thought Ryan Switzer was the guy that always stood out to me on tape the most. He would take little 5 or 10 yard dump offs and take them to the house or for big gainers. So I would probably get rid of Trubisky. Kyler Murray, I think, has the highest trade value at this point, even though he's dropped, but he's still, significantly high in ADP, so I think I would still try to trade Kyler Murray. And I'll roll the dice with Josh Allen. You're telling me when it came to Jameis Winston, he's going to throw the ball 500-600 times. I don't care how accurate it is for fantasy. Josh Allen's going to throw the ball 500 times. 2 of them might go and hit, knock the peanut guy unconscious, but the other one's going to be a beautiful dime in the bucket to John Smokey Brown for a 90-yard touchdown. And the other time, he's, next possession, he's going to run it for 50 yards and, leapfrog somebody. So, Josh Allen, I love watching him play. I love the passion. I love the fact that nobody wants to support this guy or publicly admit that they support this guy unless you live in Buffalo. So, I will keep Josh Allen.
I think he's going to use and abuse Cole Beasley. He's going to use and abuse him.
They have already said they want to do more short passes, which is not Josh Allen's thing. He is definitely much better throwing down the field than he is those short passes. But maybe it's something he can work through. Well, I think it's more mental than it is physical. You see it a lot, and this is something you see a lot in baseball, what they call a yips, where all of a sudden a second baseman can't even throw it to first. And it's just mental. It's all mental. And I think that's what he has been dealing with in short passes. So we'll see. But don't forget that in the last 6 weeks of the season last year, he was the #1 fantasy quarterback because of his legs.
LQ, just so you know, anytime I try to reference baseball on the show, Jim is ready to pull the plug.
Well, you're talking about players in games. I don't talk about players in games. I talk about concepts. I am not a baseball guy. Definitely.
Mental note.
That's only because I'm a Mets fan and they suck. So it is what it is. Andy, I'm going to go to you for one. How about the next one? Matt Breida, Rashad Penny, or Tony Pollard?
I'm definitely getting rid of Penny. I've been outspoken on Penny for the last 2 years now, kind of in that Ronald Jones mold and category for me. Just question the balance. I question the strength. Beach muscles. If you want to give it a title,
beach muscles.
Matt Breida. It's between Breida and Pollard because I like them both. I think they both have value. They're both going to be in a timeshare at some point. I like the toughness of both of them. Especially love the grindingness of Matt Breida. So whoever I can get more trade value, I would put them both on the market. Whoever I can get more for, I'd move them and I'd keep the other.
LQ, any thoughts on that one? Any changes?
Yeah,
would you do what he did, or would you do something different?
I wouldn't change anything. I'm with him right there. It would be a toss-up between Pollard and Breida.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to change it. I'm changing it. Look, I like Breida. I like Breida a lot. I think he's going to end up becoming the #1 in San Francisco over Tevin Coleman. I just think he's a better all-around running back than Tevin Coleman is. I know Coleman has history with Kyle Shanahan, but now so does Breida. Breida played tough for them all last year when he needed to, playing through multiple injuries and kept playing. Every time they say, it looks like he's going to be out for a week or two, Breida's back on the field practicing and saying, I want to play this week, coach. I love players like that. I did a piece for Sports Illustrated back at the beginning of August that told people don't sleep on Breida then, because I didn't think that McKinnon was coming back from this injury. Every time he tried, he had a setback, and sure enough, that's what happened again. And I just think he's better than Coleman. Everybody's buying Coleman now. But Breida is really starting to inch up, especially with the McKinnon news. And today I actually heard for the first time in a high-stakes league that Matt Breida went before Coleman in the draft. And at that point, okay. I love the value with Breida before because you can get him 4 to 5 rounds later than Coleman. So now that value is shrinking because they're coming up right against each other in drafts. So the value is going away, but I still think Breida is the guy.
Can I ask you? Can I ask you now that you just showed all this love for Matt Breida? So I'm in a contract league where you got to sign players and put a year on them and a contract or whatever. And I had Kareem Hunt from last year. He was at a RB1 price. He was at 2018 draft day price, Kareem Hunt. And I traded him in the offseason for Matt Breida. So I'm just curious. And Matt Breida's, I can see if I can find the salary. But Matt Breida is $9 a year to Kareem Hunt's $53 a year. So I'm just curious because I know you like Hunt a lot. Which of those two sides would you prefer?
I'd rather have Breida.
Okay. All right.
Look, yeah, it's simple. First of all, the dollar amount is huge. The difference is huge. So yeah, absolutely. But you got to remember, I mean, as much as I like Hunt as a running back, all he's got to do is one more stupid thing, and the man will never step foot on a field again.
Yeah.
Just one. That's all he's got to do is
microscope.
one more thing, and the guy's suspended for probably life.
I was just curious because I know you've been advocating for Hunt a lot. And
No. Wait, don't be putting words in my mouth. I haven't been advocating for Hunt as much as I'm saying when he comes back in week 10, I don't see any reason why they don't put him on the field and run him, because the reason they picked him up was so that they could trade him. The only way they could trade him at the end of the year and get value is to get him on the field and show that he's still the same running back he was. Plus, at that point, you want to get Chubb a little rest so he can be healthy for the playoffs, because let's face it, the first half of the year, they're going to run Chubb to death.
I wasn't being insulting.
Yeah.
No, it sounded like a little insulting.
I was just asking you to grade my...
I'm not the hugest Hunt fan. I'm just worried about how much he's going to take a chunk out of Chubb's second half season. That's all.
I just heard a lot of love for Matt Breida. I made that trade on May 11th. I was just
I thought it was a great trade.
To grade my
He
trade.
knows the date and everything.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the transaction.
But you laugh at that, LQ. I know guys that are like that. I mean, they know everything they do in every single league every day. And man, I play in 150 freaking leagues. I can't remember any of that crap. Once I'm done with the draft, I'm done with the draft. How much?
3 league stops. 3.
Oh, God,
That's
dude.
it.
Most of them I play now are best ball, but I still play about 30 season-long leagues, and about half of those are dynasty. But back, I'd say 5 years ago, I was playing 70 to 75 full-season leagues every year, and most of those were like 53-man dynasty leagues. So, I always do this. Hi, my name is Jim, and I have a problem. I love to draft. I'll draft anytime. The problem is I can't say no to a draft, and that's where it comes back to bite me. Okay, so I asked you guys to put together one of these for me. Who's got one for me?
Well, I was going to go with yours. We'll just ask you the ones you presented because they're very nicely.
I literally on the show note that it's okay if you guys want to come up with one for me.
No, I'm going to give you this one. Darwin Thompson, Justice Hill, or Devin Singletary. The battle of the rookies.
Yeah, I like this one too. I actually like all three of these guys. But the problem is, okay, this is what I do now. Thompson is the guy I trade because he's got the most hype right now. People still think he's going to take the job from Damian Williams. He's not going to take the job from Damian Williams, but he'll still have value. But he's the one who's getting the most hype right now, so I would trade him. And then it comes down to Singletary or Hill, man. Love both of these guys. I think Hill is so much better fit in Baltimore than Mark Ingram is. And Singletary, I mean, I don't see any reason why by week 4 or 5 he's not the lead back in this offense. He's just the best back they have now. Man. Okay, so I'm going to drop Hill. Just because, hey, look, it's Baltimore. You're going to have so much of the running taken away by Lamar Jackson. So I would drop Hill. I don't like it. I would hate every minute of it. But I would have to keep Singletary because I am really sold that he's going to end up taking that job in Buffalo. Thoughts?
Yeah, I'll share. But LQ, you got something? I'll let you go.
Yeah, I agree with dropping Hill. I mean, it's a hard decision. I would hate it too. I just feel like Lamar Jackson's going to be running all over the place. Mark Ingram has the leg up, obviously, being the new sign, the new veteran there. So it's going to be hard to keep him off the field, but it's going to be hard to have any type of fantasy relevance into that backfield. So that's my issue with that. So I would hate dropping him, but you would have to.
I'm glad people are starting to finally come around on Devin Singletary. I've been talking this guy up for forever. He was one of my favorite guys throughout the whole draft process, and people thought I was nuts. And then he goes to Buffalo, which is like Siberia, and then he's behind T.J. Yeldon and Frank Gore and LaShawn McCoy. And all of a sudden, you have the fantasy task Jim Day saying he's the best running back in Buffalo with some Hall of Fame names in front of him. So I'm just happy people are starting to pay attention to Devin Singletary. Justice Hill, I was talking with Connor Rogers the other day from Bleacher Report, Stick to Football. I had him on my podcast, and he was bringing up Justice Hill. And listen, I can't argue. Justice Hill is a strong dude. He has a video that's been going around the last couple of weeks with him, squatting over 500 plus pounds. I just didn't like the versatility. I like the athleticism. I like the production, everything like that. I just didn't like that he seems to go down on first contact all the time, like every time. And so that is something that would make me drop him. I mean, if we're just going, I wouldn't argue with any of these guys. If I woke up tomorrow and one of them was on my roster, I wouldn't be disappointed with any of them. But Darwin Thompson, I think Jim hit it perfectly. He's the one that's got the most helium right now. So get what you can while you can.
He's leading the hype train there.
Yeah, it really is. Well, thanks. I want to thank both of you guys for another good episode. I thought we covered a lot of players tonight. That was good. LQ, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you, how they can see you more, so more people can get to know you.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at RealDealFantasy, and I'm on Facebook under Real Deal Fantasy HQ. And you can go on YouTube, just type in Real Deal Fantasy HQ, and my videos will pop up. Like and subscribe for me, and I'll always try to get back to you as fast as I can. And that's basically all you can find me. Instagram, I'm not really too hot on right now. I'm just kind of in and out of it, so I'm not too worried about that.
Well, we do want to thank you for joining us. And like I said, I love the videos you post in the Facebook group. And, I thought you did a great job. So thank you for coming on and joining us tonight. Andy, you have a ton going on. If anybody hasn't heard, Andy's new website is just not so much new, but redone in grand style. Andy, why don't you tell everybody about it?
Thanks. I'll keep it simple. Just go to expandtheboxscore.com. Basically, every touch, every player, college, pros, NFL. We're going to be adding other sports as well. But now that the season's here, we have DFS tools. We have play tendencies, IDP for pro. I mean, there's everything that you could want for a football site that's on there, whether it be fantasy, season long, daily, handicapping, and just doing gambling. Whatever your angle is for football, we have you covered. There's something that you'd want. The subscription prices are ridiculous. They're $15 per year for a full year for either sport, or $25 for the whole football bundle. So go check that out. We have a bunch of free content as well. So if you're, anything that you're looking for is there: podcasts, videos, articles. The easiest way to find me and anything I'm doing is through Twitter at People's Pen, People's with the Z. Just search my name, and I should be the one coming up. And that does it for me. I wanted to ask you, Jim, after you plug, I just want to ask you, we didn't talk about Zeke at all tonight. So before we tune out, I just want to get kind of a one-word answer from both of you on your prediction for what week we see him in.
LQ, I'll let you go first.
Week 2. I think he's blowing smoke.
Well, I don't think he's blowing smoke so much, but I agree with you on week 2, but my rationale is different. My rationale is he's going to come back week 2 because week 1 they played the Giants in Dallas, and if the Giants ended up winning that game, then you can bet your butt that Jerry Jones is going to back up the truck for Zeke and say, get in here. Because he's not going to want to take a loss to the Giants in week 1 in his home stadium again. In week 1. So, yeah, I think that if that happens, if they end up losing that game, then absolutely I think Zeke gets paid on the spot like 2 minutes after the game is over. Jerry Jones will just hate that so much. And I forgot to ask you,
I think
who's your favorite team? LQ, who's your favorite team?
The Rams, man.
The Rams.
He said it before. He's a homer. And then
okay. Yeah, right. Yeah, I didn't catch that. Sorry. I was trying to figure out who I was supposed to go to next. But So, look, I think he's going to be back in week 2. I actually, right up until the last couple of days, I thought he'd be in by week 1. And there's still a chance he's back in by week 1. Both sides are playing the leverage game right now. And, ultimately, it's a wait and see. It's not like Zeke is known for making the smartest of decisions. So we'll see how this plays out for him. I hope he's on the field. He's one of the best running backs in the league. But he's dropping right now. I've seen him go down to number 10 in some drafts recently. So people are starting to slide. Jerry Jones saying, we expect to be without him for a few games. Again, that's him playing the leverage game, trying to push his buttons and all that. And we might have had him back already if Jerry Jones wasn't an idiot and say, Zeke who, you dummy. We might have had him back. He was back in Texas. He was looking like he was getting ready to come back in, and then he has to say something stupid like that. You don't think this guy's going to take an affront to that? Just nuts. Okay, so for me, we got all kinds of things going on. Of course, it's the last weekend for our promo code at FFChamps. You get $40 off a season-long membership that gives you all of our great tools, our draft tracker, our customizable cheat sheets, our FFCPI, which is our player index, which every week rolls out new rankings, new numbers, new start, sit things. All of it comes out. My partner on the site, Bill Enright, has finished in the top 10 at Fantasy Pros draft ranking last 3 years running. But you also get our DFS site, our sister site, gppmaster.com, involved in that. So you get all our DFS info. And then on top of that, you can get into a free survivor pool that person who wins will get a free seat in next year's World Championship of Fantasy Football in Vegas. Everything paid for. Go to Vegas, hotel, everything, airfare, all paid for, and just to win the survivor pool. So a lot of good things going on at FFChamps. Come check us out. And also the Fantasy Football Frenzy that's on every day from 1 to 2 is now on TV. Imagine that, this ugly face on TV every day. Hey, like my grandma always said, I had a face for TV. Unfortunately, grandma was blind. But whatever. You can now catch the Frenzy on Zumo TV channel 719. We're soon going to be on Pluto TV. We're soon going to be on Sling TV. So keep an eye out for that. Got a lot of great things coming on. Folks, I want to thank LQ for joining us. Andy, of course, for being here tonight. And everybody else who came and listened to us, thank you very much. If you could, give us a comment, give us a like. Whatever you can do, wherever you're listening to this, it always helps trying to grow this, this podcast, because it's fairly new, so we need to get it going here. So, whatever you can do to help, we would greatly appreciate it. We thank you all for coming out. Have a great holiday weekend. Enjoy your day off if you got it. And don't forget, next Thursday is Real Football. Next Friday, we'll actually be talking about a real football game. Holy hell, I am excited. So thank you all for everybody came and join us in the chat. LQ, Andy, everybody, have a good night.
Peace.